I went through a spree of like times I like meet people in the ball. I don't regret it because we didn't get caught. I'll fight IRL. I just remember this is going up publicly. For legal reasons, this is a joke. I would describe Aries as, first and foremost, probably fiery. It is, I mean, it's a fire sign.
Yeah.
But I also feel like it's probably the concept of Aries that I most am associated with by other people, and therefore kind of eventually by myself, just because of the red hair, honestly. I think is a big part of it. And being an Aries is being very, both fire, but fire is chaotic a little bit, and I feel like Aries can be chaotic often in ways, either externally, internally, or both, which I think is me. A lot of what I learned about being an Aries honestly came from Julian, who's Jenna Marbles' boyfriend.
Yeah.
She used to be on YouTube because he was born the same year of the same day as me. So I felt like that. I mean, I don't know what time, so our birth charts are not perfectly aligned. I can tell. Like, we're obviously different people in a lot of ways. But like a lot of Aries, a lot of stuff that she would be like, Julie, you're being such an Aries right now. I'd be like, yeah, that sounds about right. So I think being an Aries is about being fiery and chaotic and a little competitive in like in a way that, like, I think I'm only competitive at least when I know I can win. And like a lot of things I read about Aries say that like you're probably competitive and like really sporty. And I'm like not sporty. I feel like I'm just competitive when it comes to things that are more academic, honestly, or things that I think I can win. I'm just competitive with things I think I can win. So not sports, which is actually a one that comes up a lot that I don't at all associate myself with, is sports and being like physically competitive. Although like I'll fight IRL, so maybe that a little bit too, like fighty. I guess competitive can also be termed as like fighty, like yeah, fight you IRL. Picking fights, but also just like finishing them. I feel like I don't necessarily always start the fight, but like if the fight is happening, like I'm in the fight. Like I generally don't turn down confrontation. Again, if I think I can win. Like it's not to say that I try to like, you know, every guy who street harasses me, I'm like gonna try to fight them barehanded or something. I don't know. They're not worth my time. But I don't know. I'll fight people, and I will try to get. I had a bad habit of trying to get into fights with people, with men mostly, who pissed me off when I was drunk in college. But I've mostly stopped doing that. I was always the person who would like give the animals their shot, or be the one to like trim the goats' hooves, partially because they were my goats, but partially just because like, I mean, even when we got our kitten and she needed her last shot and the foster was like, oh, you can also just buy it and give it to her yourself, it'll be a lot cheaper. And I was like, yeah, I can do that. And so I did. I gave her her last vaccine subcutaneously, and like that's definitely not something that I feel like a lot of people I know would do. It's definitely not something Sagittarius I lived with wanted to do, or could even like, be in the room for. And so I definitely feel like I'm good at being the like bad cop when it comes to like handling animals. In terms of like, I don't know, no matter how much they squirm or bite me or claw me, I'm like, you're not getting away. Like I will win. Like I guess I'm just kind of like fighting, but like I like this is happening and you need to handle it. And because of that, it's funny that the cats and a lot of animals tend to be easier to handle for me because they know that I'm gonna be the alpha, I guess. I mean, I know that that's not really like proven science for most animals, but like it's definitely a thing with my cats at least. Like it's way easier for me to clip their claws or do like uncomfortable medical things with them because they know that I will not let go. And Zach has a little bit more like, but they were sad. They were so sad about it. And I'm like, yeah, but it's gotta happen. They'll forget. It's fine. because I also have like anxiety and was definitely trained growing up to like keep my discomfort to myself, just kind of like, I don't know, British mother, kind of like let everything be, just kind of quietly just get people doing wrong and stuff like that, and not to like, I don't know, endanger yourself by expressing emotions. I've definitely overcome that a lot since like moving out of Susanville. Honestly, like I felt like the whole small town vibe was like not for me, especially because it was like a small conservative town. And I didn't pick fights about like my bisexuality or my like refusal or like my discomfort with the idea of monogamy. And those are things that I do now and continue to do because it's like kind of constant. I feel like I don't know, just like I forget that people think that stuff is weird sometimes. So then I accidentally, I guess, start fights by just like being openly okay with that stuff, not even necessarily self-identifying. And I definitely will get into those fights every time, like it's very rare that I will let anyone, like my boss even like say something that I know, not that she's talked to me about sexuality, but like let people say things that feel incorrect to me. Like I will, even if it's done, like I feel like what I've been better at doing is like I'm really good at my tone when I say these things, or like figuring out the way to say something where it's being polite and you're correcting someone polite. So I think that's what I've gotten good at doing, is realizing that not every fight has to be yelling. Like you can fight for and against stuff and kind of blend it into the environment that you're in, code switch it in a way where it stays appropriate for the encounter, I suppose. And if they get mad anyway, like it's like, like I've been a lot better about like just not really caring if people dislike that about me. But like I kind of feel like I know my limits a bit better, and I know what's acceptable to get away with and what probably isn't. And yeah, like I mean, I went through a spree of like times I like need people in the balls when I lived in Susanville. That is like I did it like one time in LA to a guy who was being a really big dick, but then I was like, that's probably not something I should do. I'm gonna end up with like a battery charge, and that would just like be bad in my life. And I mean, it's not that I should say I was doing it left and right. I just remember this is going up publicly. For legal reasons, this is a joke. My friend Rachel in college was born on the 3rd, and she's definitely an Aries in a lot of ways. In her, like, I feel like she got me out of my Aries shell in some ways. Like, one time my freshman year of college, we were at this party, and a bunch of the guys were like, we want to go tunneling, because at UCLA there's these underground tunnels that you like know about, and like going tunneling is a thing that people do, but you're not totally allowed to. I mean, they're really just creepy storage areas. There's this one area that we found that was the pit, that was just like a big dirt pit with some like pillars over it. I don't know, it was some kind of something. I don't know what it was. It was kind of creepy. And people go down there and do, weird art projects in corners, so you find them and you're like, oh, it's creepy, or like graffiti and stuff. But I didn't really want to go. I was like tired. I was like, it's like 11 p.m. And Rachel was like, Megan, or Meglo, that's what I was called in college. Like I'm a junior in college here. I have never gotten the opportunity to go before. I know that you've only been here a few months, but this is probably going to be your only chance to go. Like, you need to come. And so I did, and like no regrets. And she was right. That was kind of the only opportunity I had to go. And I don't regret it because we didn't get caught and didn't get hurt. But at the time, that's what I was really worried about.
Yeah.
I mean, even my brother, like, he had kind of a chaotic, like, he's in the army now and he's married and he has like a baby and a puppy and a cat. So he looks pretty stable. Not that really being in the army is that stable, because they can just send him all over at any time. But like, he did not do well in college because I think it was too unstructured for him, and it was like he needs a structure, or else he just kind of like goes chaotic and flies off the rails a little bit. Like I think his chaos is different than mine for sure. He's not as extroverted or outgoing, but it's still there. I think that my chaos is a lot more visible in a lot of ways because I'm a lot more open about it, whereas his is like, I'll just, secretly fail out of college and not tell my parents, and then just stop talking to them to the point where they have to send the police to do a wellness check on me to make sure I'm alive in Arizona or New Mexico, that kind of thing, And then he's like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll just kind of like go home for a while and then join the army. Basically, I think I have friends of many signs, and including the other fire signs. Well, Zach's a Sagittarius, and so we get along well. I kind of feel like similar to Alana. Like we live together, and we've lived together for a long time now, like 7 years, close to 7 years. And yeah, our apartment's just kind of always a mess, but we're also kind of always in the middle of reorganizing. Like we're kind of like, it's always a process of tidying in this apartment and making it better and stuff, but like we kind of both, and I'm not sure if this is like because of the fire sign, because we're both ADHD, or because fire signs are more ADHD, but like we do both do the thing where like we'll start a project and then we just like burn out on it, or like get tired or get hungry and have to stop, and then we have a hard time getting back to it in like a timely manner. So then like half the project will just kind of be on the surface of our house for a few weeks, kind of consistently. And we both kind of like know that that's a thing. And since we both do it, we both kind of forget that in each other. He definitely isn't as, he isn't ready to fight all the time in the same way I am, even though he has a black belt in karate. So it's not like he can't physically fight, but he's not as into arguing. Which I feel like is maybe a little bit more of an Aries and less of a Sagittarius. But like I said, I don't know a ton about being a Sagittarius. I just know that I like him and we get along. And what was the other one?
Leo.
Oh, my sister's a Leo in August. Francis is a Leo, and we get along. We definitely get along a lot better as adults. But we have a 5-year age gap. So when I moved out, she was like 12. So 18-year-old and a 12-year-old, I guess, don't like have a ton in common. She says she doesn't even really remember me being around growing up, which is kind of hilarious and sad. I remember. I mean, yeah, I remember. But yeah, we used to one time we got into a fight, like a physical fight, and it wasn't a serious one. I got into physical fights with my siblings all the time growing up, and I'm learning that that's not necessarily true with everybody, but like I had pinned her down or something, and like pinned her arms down and was like, give me the whatever back or something. I can't remember. Or like say you didn't mean it or something. Basically, I ended up breaking my retainer in my pocket, and then my parents did not believe that like it was her fault. They were like, maybe you shouldn't have been fighting with her. You're the older sibling. You should be more mature. And I'm like, no, we're both fire signs. We gotta fight it out. That's what I said. I didn't know anything about that. But yeah, so I mean, but we're great friends now. What is hard about being an Aries? Wanting to fight all the time. Actually, I have a relevant story about that. I work at an undisclosed company, I'll say, that is like often tops the charts of like most ethical companies to work with, like wide Fortune 500 company. We made so much money over COVID. And I work in the office area and developed a lot of lung issues at the beginning of COVID. Like I thought that I had COVID for a while. It was possible to get a test. And then it's like, no, you just have like terrible bronchitis. And that's why your chest hurts constantly. You can't breathe. And then after long last, they just like figured out that I redeveloped asthma from my childhood. Now I'm on like twice daily inhalers and also have an emergency inhaler. Basically, like I'm immunocompromised in the lungs. And so since I work in the office, I was like, well, can't I work from home? Like it would just like every other person who works in the office. But no, because I was hourly instead of salary. They like made decreed that I must work in office, even though I literally don't go, like, there's no reason for me to be there. And it was just ridiculous. Basically, it was a lot of struggles, and I felt like they were not taking COVID very seriously, or like doing the absolute bare minimum and then bragging about how safe they were making us and stuff. And it was just, I was mad about it.
Yeah.
And I tweeted something, and I finally I had been tweeting about it to no one. I have like no followers on Twitter. This was like not a giant media storm that I made, but I did at the company one time and was just like, said something along the lines of please do better at the plant level to protect your workers, because like it's a big deal, and like I feel like I'm taking my life into my hands every time I have to go into work.
Yeah.
Which I need to do to live. So yeah. Anyway, the company saw that on Twitter and responded to me saying something like, "We will send your concerns to the appropriate department," or something. And then about a week later, I got called into HR and asked to delete that tweet. And I did not apologize, which I'm very proud of myself. I did not apologize. And I was like, well, oh, if you had these concerns, you should have like taken a different venue. And I was like, well, I have been complaining, like openly and loudly, like a lot to like everyone who will listen to me, and nothing's been done. So I don't want to say that like, well, did you call this no, I didn't call your like weird hotline that I didn't know about. Like, no, I didn't call the hotline. My parents got super freaked out that I was going to get fired. And I was like, I'm not going to get fired. If they fire me over a tweet criticizing their COVID, like, procedures, like, there would be a media storm. Like, I would create one also, because they've been very open about how well they treat their employees as they're salaried, and how great it is to work for them, and blah, blah, blah. And then they also made a ton of money over COVID and then laid off 2,900 people right before Christmas last year. I mean, and I told other people about it too, because I was like, I'm not ashamed. Like, they just called me in to delete a tweet into HR. Like, how ridiculous is that, basically? And this guy who used to sit next to, who's like worked there for like 40 years and like has 2 kids and stuff, is like, wow, that was brave. Like, I would never do that. And I was like, brave? Like, I don't even think of it as like brave, you know? Like, and I just think of it as like someone needs to be saying these things, like, or whatever. So yeah. And then a couple months after that, I got assigned, you know, corporate training. You get an email like, you need to take this training online. I got assigned a social media responsibility training.
Oh my
God. Hilariously passive aggressive, and I thought it was the funniest thing.
That is really funny.
I took it, and I got 100% because nothing I did violated our social media like outlines. I think they were just trying to like scare me or something. But I don't back down to those lame ass scare tactics, because I'm a fucking Aries and I won't be doing it.
That's awesome.
So yeah, when I say I fight everyone everywhere all the time, that's kind of what I mean.
Yeah. You're a whistleblower. You're not going to let bullshit go unchecked.
No, I'm not. Like, I don't know. I just don't want to be the person that doesn't do what they can. Even if I don't have the power to change anything, I still want to be the person that did what I could to try to make it right. And that just involves having a bit of a I'll fight you IRL spirit, because it could have, I mean, it didn't, but like I'd made friends there and stuff. Like it could have blown back on me in a negative way. Same with the like tweeting thing. It could have blown back on me more negatively than it did. But like, I don't care. Like, I think a lot of my energy and fight energy just goes towards like trying at the very least to support, to like advocate for the world I want to be living in, basically. And that is a fight. It's always been a fight. And to live in a better world. And to me, that's worth fighting about. It definitely helps to tap into unending rage. Yeah. in a magazine where they're like, look at your zodiac for the month. It's Aries is always first, and I like that as well.
That's funny.
Unrelated to anything we were saying, but I always really like that. I don't have to check very far on the list if they send me those listed articles.